Alrighty guys, so this recipe is supposed to be a vegan version of the salt and pepper squid that you guys have at dim sum, and man, oh man, does it deliver. I'm using oyster mushrooms today, which is uber meaty and uber delicious, and the recipe is super crispy and amazing, and you can adjust it to the spiciness level that you want, so I'm sure that all of you guys are going to love it. So here we go. So I'm starting off with a package of these oyster mushrooms, and I actually found them at the Korean grocery store. And they sell kind of oyster mushrooms that have thicker bases, which is really useful for this because it's at the stem that it is really most meaty, and also it's in strips, so it's very much kind of like calamari or kind of like squid. So it's gonna be about 2 cups of that. I have a half a teaspoon of salt, followed by a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, which always makes things nice and meaty tasting. So next I have 1 teaspoon of rice wine, and that will just add a nice depth to this mixture, and then about 2 tablespoons of water, just so that all of the spices and the mixtures can permeate the mushrooms a little bit better. So after that, just toss them around gently, and then just leave it aside for about 15 to 30 minutes so that you get all of the flavors. So meanwhile, usually there's like an egg or something to help it bind to whatever we're gonna put on it. So this time I'm gonna be mixing 2 tablespoons of rice flour with about a 1/4 cup of water. And I like rice flour because I think sometimes it can give a more crispy feel, but you guys can, certainly use cornstarch. And this will function as the egg to help the mushrooms bind to everything. So just pour all of that through, and then just mix that around and make sure that everything is nice and moist. Alright, so right now I have the oil going. That is about a cup of potato starch, and I'm just using my hands, and I'm bringing in the mushrooms into the potato starch and then dropping them in the oil. You want the oil to be about, 375 to 400. You want to make sure that it's pretty hot, because if it's not hot enough, the mushrooms really end up absorbing most of the oil, and then eventually you're going to get a nice soggy mixture instead. So I would say that I fried these guys for about 2 to 3 minutes or so. There's a point where the oil stops bubbling as much, and you can definitely see that the crust is lightly golden brown and that it gets pretty crispy. So just make sure to kind of flip them around once in a while, just to make sure that everything is evenly fried. So just let them cool down a little bit on a paper towel just for a couple of minutes for all of the grease to drain off. And at this point, I like to just dust them with a little bit more salt before I add them to this mixture. So what I have here is about a tablespoon of minced garlic. I have 1 red chili and maybe like a half of a green chili, and then also some scallions to the side, about 3 stalks or so. So in a pan on kind of medium-high heat, I have a little bit of oil, and I'm just going to put everything in. And this is supposed to be a really quick fry. I just want to get some of the flavor out of those chilies, and this is really, if you like chilies, you can add more. If you don't like them, don't really add as much. So really, after about 30 seconds or so, once the flavor has come out, I just put all of the oyster mushrooms in, and then I just toss them like this. I turn off the heat, I toss them, and I make sure that everything is coated in that really nice garlicky and chili mixture. These guys are so good. I love that the condiments that we put on it was more or less dried, so you get kind of these slightly crispy dry bits of garlic and chili as you eat through these mushrooms, which are absolutely amazing. So go ahead and find yourself a plate. This is going to be pretty casual, and then you just, basically put everything onto the plate. Oh my gosh, this dish is so good. I mean, I usually don't like frying things, but I thought that it might do this recipe a little bit of an injustice if I don't. And you guys are really, it's just so delicious, like the little specks and bits of flavor that you get throughout. And the oyster mushrooms are fantastic because they are a little bit slimy and the mushrooms are a little bit meaty, so it mimics kind of seafood really, really well. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this recipe and that you will try making it. As usual, if you want to see more recipes like this, remember to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye!